The movers and the shakers, number one, never let somebody censor you.
I am a native of Gabon.
Go back to the Holy Quran for solutions. Now the Quran will shout Zumba.
And we'll more Abdul-Nasr, Imam Mahmoud Al-Haji, Jibril, Imam Mustasha.
Look at your beauty beyond your physical appearance.
Why not join me, Abdul-Jalil Nabeli, the son of Musa Kumo, as my guests and I throw you to life-changing stories.
Yendam luzu bali bagle samalanzu bali wunkuri shauka duldan shauzu nanom kamin kalam bogle yala nampune indala barkana ndafan lana balum ndar shelana madu balum nam bogle ndal barkalana bogle be felnadu bar wakan chentala bogle be felnadu zo ba setlana bale nam bogle ndal barkalana ndafalana nashin manam puna ayen shin ma yabshin bu ayen shin ma bashin bu zo ba se lana bale dunya la zunya binkan le ko sha dan zo majibalu sanar wabla zo majibalu sanar zo majibalu zo ba se bale yoy nam jishe
to dinin ya san fama na ku gudana na ci ba Sagani TV zo ngila be Jalil na Abdul yala ba Musa Kumo da fara so wani ti an la ya ayi domin tin mai san so ta dundon wani goma on yala wonye na kanye karachi ka onye ni sai so yin mare Karl Pump wani na gon ibe duniya za da zo da tun wata nan silmin dagban ne kati za sa to di amfani shadin biyar kun zo obsulu gura tana nan dagban ne ti na dagban ne wala kati pe silmin din ku yanca ka duniya za sa di o da amfani what I'm saying is we are going to do today's program in two folds. The first part of it is going to be Dagbani, where we would showcase the culture of Dagbon, because the guest today is a chief, not just any chief, a royal. And so we need to actually acknowledge that fact of his life. And then after, we'll now come back into English and complete or conclude the program for today with English. So thank you and Pishigulana, Alhaji Dr. Alhassan Andani, Mbala Ankara, or Nayil Dundon Zone, Katishian, Chief Amarhavi Ngoya. The maintenance and farm to Mbombo High to Bombaga, Domini, and I will come here with me at the schedules no tight sham. There's the maintenance and pump, but the Italian program over and I Salome Laban and the Anfani, then by well Asani. To those who come back or TV, been a yellow unit, the many Pishigulana, Mbala Zungo Dundon, what is Sagani TV. So, to come to the boy in Pishigulana. Niro pambia ben yara karashi tumare kambia ka nyala banka tiam boanya namuma ale ku pillo be ajara de lore nchante danna mama
nta an mera lun so ma de bon punto bon don le yer to inshallah dan kan ne kar de lapsa an bo bo inshallah ma yan yele nan ma shire don ban bu de yamma ti ya nan bara ka bu de za kullu zamban ne zo tare yan yel to share to non ne amma ti yel poge zo lo suma na punja shalma won kam ya dagbana on ban ban sha dan verte te nan bazan an ban ban sha tan ban mile
anta so ayru be katira ala kambare yar Pishigulana Alhassan dan da zan Allah archa ta da Pishigo ta wa yara na ban da kambare lon suna yarsa da kanu landi shi da shari kun to amma ta ta ponya kambare an inji suna shari folo da zo ya famka ta yunde isha ba karmala kamar yin wura gallan da wa'abe so saka kun san Allah na gele ku ya ba abara ku zo la ji agufu ne tun be shamo be la shiri ba shiri san Allah so sana ka arki la ji agufu ne ya ka yi suna ula ka afsile ga ji agufu
to abu hayato don an shirye shi ma yan malanyere tom sai ta bazan amen ku jan tafiya manyenye na tege an ji shefulo na banvam ka bodom baradilla banvam ka bodom banvam kan de banvam ma hale ka tuba ma ti yisi chanti ti sanargo ka ti banvam lab sanargo dira sanargo ne mana kan be halti chan primary school chan middle school kai ni mana chan Ghana Kule Secondary School Ghana Kule Secondary School kana Tamasco 6th form ne ya shirin za dagban bi muku tuno nan ba shakam da nan me in can na ponza nan zam har to class 1 an to class 1 ka ne peto bi hepin sola ati ku ye ne makar vela ne ba su kunne makaye in can de sukuru alan kana ka afol kace de peto bla zo ganin dar bolle ka ta a can funu ka ta tuko ka ta a can ka ta cewar more ngana tukuwar more da su var war mata ma in ka ku jir ta ma ka dulum viara ka kanan tusu ko na can la su ka ma biyan su din cibo ka can ka tab ka ayu bi mi ko to yar share kula ka ben to yar an jolo to ban la ka tin ben hale na number zan wakan na pon zan wakan ku cena hale tin non kuma entrance dan non kuma entrance gana za ka pass ka bititi letter kan can Ghana College mpala Ghana College nin chop box na pon zan kan naba ku ma queen dan pon pota ma nan de palle ka so kam da anya la parjar aranya kota mpashare ta nyano so zo konko ka kota da be ka ce da zanya la parjar ka pana so ko ka naba to ku ma kaman soxiji haka so ya perla ka ka kaman bo so da bian ko yer mbono yobi aka o say tutu ko ka to for one boy why your sandals nin number bia ka yen number be box man ko la targe kana zan man ku bito disa box yemokana mahamana man tonzo wanda impio onemanati yihile chop box ko zan oil paint za blue paintle ka nsuku ne manen ya shar zan nan da pune ka zan ta zan zare ka zan man ku bi woti de kamondo ngoko oyole ye kula bombo sha papta yin ku bon sha bathroom slippers to din nan yan namda ka da san ba na drabdi do yole da na bela rubber na make up seal rubber ma ko chele ka zan so ntanga ka zan na watu de kace ta ku chance kuro ka kuna ti kuri holiday lamna be nyetu nan pune to tuma nan ya share samban kwalbu to wala kai nan kai moddo sambane be darbere ke yisi de tidiam yuku gata ni kamna ka ta da ke bo samban kansi nke ko gursan ban ma za nyolo bukum kana mban yan nan sham zan wa hoyi nan tullo ka can to bo mo nan tutto wa ma don zohna bi yasa de tableau donc je me chakam bon pune chama pune na yubu shanda nya snapchat wa snapchat wanda yo snapchat ama be chakam tunnan be ka mahalan tijinala ka so kam do bi holla ka
ta da jere ta ga mun je yuro ta me chance na pira di so tam ka to
atana na zin inta brazot ne tunnan je ka da tu wasa
da ya san ta yin ya
dozo be shakam don ko de da don bi no ko tu ana mi ce da yihim ya mi yihim da magwara a sa waka ko lamma ka cire ka sabuwa kuna ya ka tun kumbar ma zan son wa ma kana masu kurcin so su ko to la bi zahatun nan mun ka jawo a abu fiya man yawa so ta hana kama ne
da dan ba so da masha Allah ya san farisa to ne ya tishola ambara o sampane ankara hata ku kabna ona anta to ku yiro ko ko kristo san ko anya ya makamale ya male ta ban ya ne kamale min salan shoku nya agba ka pa na do du'a ka abakuli yisi ji agofu nan fitina shan habi ka shaitan zo watan da ya fitin shan da ka
ne ya fitina ma biya
to amma ta ta gujin ganfu ne wuni janda du'a abanya wuni ka manyan wuni ka dundon wula ka ji aguda nyare in yi sirna
comme on les gens nous sont les gens on ne bika yan non do angon ba da to wa ala ba ya ma to baba da ko doctor ba na kallan sham no don nta bra ko on tipikata namba ngon yo bi non po bia so kam da nyala na lan ka to na ko bu hanu zo la ka to na ko bu to manan ma da zuwa pam don mana arabu mi ngunya ma don mondari zabiloju mondare ngon sudu ngon kusumon ma ngon so kam don zo to manam da bala akuto ya ngon do amambon ay bodle don wa kan konko du na to yala amma manam ma na bi bogo bi abnya bon son bon zan na bi bewo pe amma nan ma gbaza zo ya pam ka be nam na bappan na ma ka zo pam ka to kul ambian ka so kan bona na da kunya ka ko tan marge que tu parles de zombi ka abona daddy no daddy da kane sara kunya na so bunti zan de nkuru nam ku bukata kan ban ai ka wula ka da sa baka tunan yara zambe mbaluna inshe kan mun bon do mon ka duniya dine
hanta za ta tarin da kasa ci zan ci ba ci za yura ko lala ita ne ya da shi adin yansuwanti ita mambo mbambo ma adin yere san da jago ka dite ko nan kan awon ka an bin so babya ba won ga ka cha Bapra ne bakpamba ne ma parne ma pamba tiriyan da ban ba gamin afin bugulu ma karamila nta ci zawo ba fati da su kun da da shadin ya so ta to ka ta karata into shi kurwa ba a can gara college in fact don kana ba da big man ya won to ku can gara ko nta da da mu kullu ban fara ma da ku ba don jalla da ban yamma ai ni gara college ma in can tana si form tamasco bo okay tiriyan ya din ya to afam ai gitara su ba ya kula ka a can
abi ya tamasco ya to don ta ko labuna don tamasco wanda laban ya sanar to mani tamasco in can la University of Ghana la Canada University of Ghana in 1918 da bara kan Canada University of Ghana.
Okay, so course boka karam
that kind of agriculture, that can University of Ghana, that kind of agriculture, can economics partners, can I unimani. So in time, no could so when University of Ghana with agriculture, economics, and everything. Okay, and chanted Piltman.
Okay, so how could UG? Yeah, in chanting national service. You told national service.
No, national service, Social Security Bank. Okay. Rabon SSB Bank. Ni kan da can national service.
Jangon gulla ma.
Ka jangon gulla. Ni mara kan da pil 1984. Okay. So ni mara ka tun gobsharan wadan zaha.
Masha Allah.
Lusu azo.
To. Don nan ya san mura kamane te zo di pola bambe yon polo. Do zo pam kan karantin ya ambe gilshane ka kare buku yan kir kai. Anya ya Pishigulana da yin shaba tunan ba mai tattabo sa su gudun ka ganin yata su dan suka ta bai saka wani ne yalla shahadan biyan wa dan mun tabo bu a gumiya an non fitina sha hale inte page ampalo shepo do to tiyan ko la aya targa SSB moma halbu kara zan biyar funi ka wura so din kara ko hale into toji Stanbic Bank in Gana ka don yi ban sha'adan yi ana tire chaka na won chaka page ampalo shepo
bihago don wona soro pam ya bihago ni hankale ka za so sontan kamini yam da ba mai yam ya ne you know mal ka dan kayan zan tun chib national service ai pagi sha bangayen nan sham hali manyi na university kakana to amin ban tun da ka bunya pamba ma ban na bi university o nan bodin kayan nan ka zan babban sama on waha kar nan bodin ba kun min bi zan waha da nan shan in ten ga buto nge bicema amma bi bi zan waha akuto ban la bana ta gar buto so nan bodin kayan zan nan ka zan babban sama ne shan zan waha har ban biya to ne in ba za na university ka kana ta bituma mana ma din yaran yu ka so kam bon ya no mi la gorochi sai hazan hankal sontana ban ayen nan bon jilma shale zan tinirba ka zan babban sanin ya suma tuma ma shale zan waha yan ba za so sontana ka bonle tan da BSS bin mun kam da mi ma SS bin madana mun kunna ba ka tanto so ne ba fana bin tuntuma ka ta fana ma ka zan tuma kan kunan tijin yun bisa ba latin da fulla kan yanyo Madina Madina ma ba jisa inda kan mamandu kam yaran da mamman da kan mamandu inda ba Madina da haji mun kai la da malaka ce yilmati ti ka to purduma jisma shal da na bude di pan ka bebe manum sana ka be pidu titi alhaji mun kai yan da wannan Madina da gwamna ni kan da bi ba mi mane ka can tuku da nan kan da kan mamman ogbani ne to da de into to your rent kama bilmu mazo kabtuma duni mana kambe ndi kabe bankane yoyom kane hinta anda te na national service kama yuma yusun sune ara chanto ba SSB ban tuma ma ngum yele ngulna yina da pune to la ka to kubu ba la no soro har te yini mana ta te yanya har ka tutun mal pa ko kurge tun da dushe ma ko to de tara cham to balam te na hang so biane Habiba na man to so wanda zo boys quarters do tantama kan ka ti malma boys quarters ma ka men pa pe ni mana da pa ba ko do ai da za ka na kan in ka lo da din to your rent ka tun da bank ne don zo be sha kam ka ba de mpa soro ka ban chende zan so zo ai bo yom amfani da bam ne zolo ngon bo de yom an kulandi ya la ka de en ba lu naji to wom
sa su dunka de tunu presenti da banza nan ban yinga da ba bande tinye su do shere ngoma ka te pantama ka te pensele ka sheta via yaran ka da ban chanto ne ka te tutu za sa chanto ne za yin nan ban yin
man din kunyala sheta pasoro na taba pam soro pam na taba ma patron yama na bankan wana so won kan wana da bamba ba yalta bankan ba yalta won kan wana kare yuge so pumpon te lam ma kabye ne bankan wana da biyam na jilma be da pune ka ci ara kuli ngal ci ada ka be nan dan nya be abure to won kan la namba amma ti lam taba dan le bankan la na timetiam pala la shete pala tab soro pam bi pola bien yer yeto ashanga den dat ne ba sore dan zo mani ya shanya la ta pam soro ne la yeto atula ngoma ka bani tul madra jani amma da malukar malma na won pam so kam soro na pam so kam soro kace ka ta zanta hankaya gataba tinin bede ta dira dagban ba shi abu poma kabe tumani kabe simen sisane idan zo bas za hammi ba sha jilma ba na wani zan jilma sha zanti da bamba nan bai yinga kansu ma in ce ka da ban lam yanga pam ka ti besan bane anam ko ben jeto ashe ne kapto ba ne da banan ya haba kapto ba ne tudu pola kayina mautu amma don zo din yela don zo de zanyela ka bambe nyam ngara biane amatin belamtam ma so to me belamtam ngo ma da kunyala gansa ndindo ma so gansa ma malia to pamle soro na taba kalam taba
the Yasin from Sagani TV mine or Nachiva Cargo to mini in your Pishigulana Alhaji Dr. Alhassan Andani Mbala or young Ankara or Sampa to Jion ka tiyan zan kyongo ka pucha to fu kom kalamna ti lamna inshallah tiyan asia da no ma lamita da bata eta ne da ban mi to ba biyan me ka karachi dan biyan kana ce alfa alba ka rabba dan biyan amma tuna balla di alfa ayo ma dan mi ta ba table shay polo da shay da ban ka ta tabga rabba ji da fu ne da biyan ala so ma inshallah to ko da ban mo ba nan na mo ba tin tan to muslima mi gwadane zan to kan yanya duniya sa saniyan di yar Andani afal share to butu fo kom kala ti lamna inshallah to zantu da mama zantu de chankata. Thank you so very much for staying on with me on my Northern Achiever on Sagani TV. I am Abdul-Jalil and Abdul-Hassan of Musakumo. We've had the Bapra session with Pishigulana, the Alhaji Dr. Alhassan Andani. Now, Chief, we are back from the break, and I want us to come to talk a little more about your work experience from SSB Bank, then to all the other work jobs that you have taken, so that at least we can begin to open you and get to know more about you. So you in Dagbani, you had told us about how you started your primary through to Ghana school, then to another senior high school, then you went to the University of Ghana. Now, how long did it take you at SSB before you moved to study again?
Okay. So as I said, I did national service in SSB, and that's a social security bank. It was essentially a development bank. And with the development bank, which is at that time, there were development banks, merchant banks, and commercial banks. Yes. And development banks, till today, everywhere around the world, are more focused on longer term project financing. And therefore, for me, it was a great opportunity to get into more development economics and more development financing. Gave me great opportunity to study project analysis, and the beauty of it is that we cut across all sectors of the economy, and therefore you actually had the opportunity to learn right from the project conception to formulating the project to going through detailed feasibility, both economic and financial analysis, and to determine viability, and then go on to financing. Wow. And then you go through the phases of disbursing the loan, monitoring it all the way to close out, and also monitoring for recovery. Wow. So for me, it was a great learning experience. And I did SSB. The other thing which happened to me quickly in SSB was in 1987, I was transferred to Bolga, where I took my first managerial job at age 27. I was the regional project manager for development finance for SSB in Bolga. That time it was the Upper East region. It was not Upper East and Upper West. It was just Upper East region, the capital in Bolga. And therefore, for all the SSB's development work in that larger Upper East region, or what they call Upper region, so that took me up to 1991. Then I got back to Accra. It was interesting coming back to Accra. I came in as the secretary to what they call the General Loans Committee. Now, the GLC was the top decision-making body in the bank that approved all financing, all requests for finance. It was chaired by the managing director, his deputy, and all the sectional heads. And I was made the secretary. Great learning, because you brought these reports, secreted it, and as they critiqued it, and
by which time you were just about 31.
This is 1991. I was just about 31. Yeah, and so that was again a great experience to learn from the masters. And at that time, SSB as a development finance organization recruited, minimum was.
Before you continue, rising from the project manager in Bolga all the way to the secretary of the GHL. Yeah. GLC,
General Loans Committee.
General Loans Committee. Yes. Now, sometimes people think that you would have to know somebody in a big bank like SSB then before you are given such a position. Was it that you knew someone in there, or your hard work took you there?
I didn't know anybody, and thank God, literally everybody who I worked for as a senior or a colleague, they're all still alive, and they'll be watching this interview. And I worked extremely hard. I read, I studied. For me, SSB was a continuation of the university, because there was so much to learn. And whatever you learned, you're able to see it practically roll out. You actually put a project report together, and it was finance, and you saw the implementation, and you saw the end result, and you actually went to try and collect the money back for the bank. So for me, it was absolutely hard work, diligence, and a lot of support. I mean, SSB was very collegiate, so most of them were prepared to share and for you to learn with them and get coached by them. And I still revere my seniors and colleagues in SSB. But I always say in my career, I learnt banking in SSB. I mean, when I was living in SSB, there was very little in terms of retail or investment corporate banking that I didn't learn. And that took me all the way to 1991 when they gave me my scholarship to go and do my master's in banking and finance.
Which university was that?
That was in Italy, Bocconi. It was Brescia University put together an MBA, a master's in banking and finance in Milan, Italy. Okay. And it was fully funded by the Italian government. Wow. Yes, and so that's why I went to really, as it were, pull it all together as a.
So after the masters, you came back to Ghana, right? Yeah. And where did you continue from there?
So when I got back from Italy, this was just shortly before the 92 elections. I felt, I'd kind of acquired new skills, was very keen to continue to do my work. I got back to SSB, it's still an exciting place, but I was taken back to do exactly what I was doing before I left, and I'm quite, I can be quite ambitious, and
it didn't present you a new challenge.
It didn't present me a new challenge, precisely. So I remember a kind of conversation. I went back to still being the secretary to the General Loans Committee, and I remember collect a conversation between myself and the then deputy managing director of the bank to say, we understand when people come back with this kind of masters, they expect to be promoted, and so what are your expectations? I said, well, you have said it, so all I'm looking for is a challenge. But as it is, and everything is providence, the challenge wasn't coming, and I saw an advert in the papers said an international financial institution was looking for a corporate business manager. And I applied. It was an advertiser's number. So, it's just a number, Graphic Corporation. Yeah. So I wrote that letter. And as fate will have it, I got a response. It was in the response, I realized that it was Standard Chartered Bank that was looking for a corporate business manager. So I went to, I applied. I mean, of course, the interview invited me for the interview, and and I got
your vast experience at SSB.
Exactly.
Yes, it was easy to get the job.
It was easy, but I tell you, sometimes, again, just for learning, colleagues, and how you move forward. So I remember very clearly when I got the application, the letter to inviting me for the interview. I said, this Standard Chartered Bank. I'd never been inside Standard Chartered Bank before. Yeah, I mean, SSB was quite top of his game. Yeah. So we're all very proud to be SSB, So I went to ask a colleague who we had met at GIMPA. We had gone to GIMPA for a program. So I met a couple of colleagues there who were working for Standard Chartered Bank. Now I went to ask them, there's this advert that I've been invited to come interview for a corporate business manager. I think two of them were seniors to me in the university. Okay. And they said, no. And they were working in SSB. They said, no, this is a very senior position. That's not meant for you. Again, so that's a censorship. Number one, never let somebody censor you. And don't censor yourself. Go for what is your potential. I was a bit upset. I said, well, if the people in the HR or the bank realized it was not, they asked for qualifications and set of experience, and they felt I met the criteria. That's why they invited me for this interview. Anyway, so I ignored them and then went for the interview. And yes, then I got employed. Wow. It was when I was given the position that I realized why they had censored themselves and held themselves back, because I was literally, in terms of seniority, probably third in line after the level of seniority of the managing director of the bank. Wow. And this was a very young boy coming from SSB. And indeed, I was probably one of the first local people to be employed from a local bank into SSB. Most of them were probably just recruited straight from school and trained. But I was one of the first managers, senior managers, to be pulled from another bank into SSB. Wow. So I got in as a corporate business manager initially in 1993. Okay. Yeah, that was in 1993. I joined Standard Chartered Bank.
Wow, so and the journey began.
The journey began. I mean, I think, as I said, I learned banking in SSB, and Stanchart put me to work. Wow. So Stanchart took me to Kumasi as the Deputy Regional Manager for Corporate Business Banking. I must say that there are very few companies and very few establishments in the Kumasi greater area that I don't know. So we covered all the timber mining companies. That time, Guinness had their head office in Kumasi, and we provided lines of credit for Guinness. I think Kumasi Brewery was also still in Kumasi. We literally were sort of running around riots in Kumasi and building a very solid corporate book. And this was all coming from the training that I had brought across from SSV, and of course, then I think we built a fantastic portfolio. Yeah. Then I was rapidly I went to Kumasi in 93 to December 95. Then I was transferred back to Accra as the regional manager in charge of corporate banking, and Accra covered Accra Tema. So again, most of the domestic companies, I mean, I was regional manager domestic corporates. So that included all the state-owned enterprises, local companies, Accra Tema, you know. So, and I had a team of, I think, about 12 relationships.
I think there's the need for us to get this clarification. Is Standard Bank the same as Standard Chartered Bank?
No, Standard Bank is not the same as Standard Chartered Bank.
So what happened? You know, you were in Standard Bank.
Yes.
So
I was in Standard Chartered.
Standard Chartered then.
93.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Then, so as I said, so again, stellar performance. We really did a great job building a solid corporate banking portfolio for Standard Chartered. Okay. I was there from 93 to 2000, okay. Year 2000. Okay. Then in April 2000, I was headhunted into Barclays Bank. Okay. Yeah, so I went to Barclays Bank in April 2000 as the executive director for corporate and business banking, corporate banking, wow. Corporate and investment banking. Yes.
How many years did you spend there at Barclays Bank?
I was in Barclays from April 2000 again to April 2006. Wow. And you know, I think it was a phenomenal 6 years I spent in Barclays. So in 2004, I was also made the deputy managing director of the bank, alongside my job as executive director for corporate banking. And yeah, I think whatever, we built a solid portfolio in Barclays, and I'm proud to say that now APSA, they're still riding on the building blocks that we.
I usually call you my governor of the Bank of Ghana, because we'll come to talk about that and a lot more when we get to the tail end of the interview. But then, does it mean therefore that after your masters in banking and finance in Italy, you never went for any other certificates?
No. So in 1999, I was in Fontainebleau, Africa. INSEAD. So INSEAD is one of the top European universities. I went to INSEAD to do international management at INSEAD. And I've been around the world, several schools, to study. Wow. I was in Oxford Said Business School to do business strategy. I've been to MIT to do IT management and future fit growth strategy. So we've gone.
I ask this question because I would want to know how relevant these certificates are, especially when we already are comfortably working. Sometimes it is very normal amongst, especially with the younger ones, to think that, well, I have arrived. I am the head of so and so in so and so bank, so there's no need for me to go for any other certificates. How relevant are these certificates when you are already?
I think there's nothing called comfortably working. You cannot be comfortably working. Work is if you're working in a dynamic organization, you're supposed to be challenging the status quo, pushing the envelope for growth. So comfortable working is just doing the same things. No, that's not comfortably working. And for most of the organizations, if the organization is looking to grow and yourself, you're looking to grow. And for me, I was given the challenge very early, whether it was in Stanchart or Barclays or in Stanbic Bank, given the challenge to take the organization to another level. You cannot be comfortably working. You are very uncomfortably challenged, and therefore you have to continuously learn in order to be able to take the organization to where it has to go. And the good thing about work is that the aspirations of stakeholders, especially your shareholders, never end, and they have alternatives where they can take their money to. So you have to keep pushing this envelope and returning good results in order to.
So is Barclays the last job you had before Stanbic Bank?
Yes. So Barclays, I was in Barclays, as I said, I was transferred to South Africa. I think that was the tail end of 2004, 2005, where I was director for what they call non-presence countries. So I was doing coverage work for our investment banking business, where I covered countries like, Mozambique, Nigeria, Angola, Ethiopia, Senegal, countries like where we did investment banking work, but we didn't have bank branches there.
And you got all these through mere hard work and not because you knew somebody somewhere.
No, I didn't know anybody. In fact, the organization knows me more than I know them.
Wow.
That's what you should do. The organization sets you up with objectives to achieve, and they only get to know you by how well you have achieved those objectives. So I think it's important. We should disabuse our minds of knowing somebody. Yes, you should know somebody to give you an opportunity, but thereafter, you've got to prove yourself constantly. And this organization, whether it's Standard Chartered, Barclays, or Standard Bank, these are very high-performing organizations that would want to know what you produce, not who you are. Who you are is actually what you produce, and how you're able to gel, build teams, use these teams to achieve results, improve yourself, and improve other people. So it's not about you. Work is not about you. Work is about actually being part of a team, a constructive, strategic part of a team, achieving constant results and pushing the envelope all the time.
Wow. This is where we're going to go for another quick breather. We'll come back and talk about the journey of the Stanbic Bank and other philanthropic things that Alhaji is doing. It's good to share, so they say, but it's very difficult to share. We go for a very quick commercial break. We'll be back shortly after and we'll continue. We'll be back shortly.
Den da chante chetra latima tramon diten letalin metishan adam pepe mane den da chan pier pune mada kan da chante nya kanam bo gbam ko jishale kama nambo jia kanam bo gbam so kan kuna te jia fenda yema kan nanum store nanum store tabare taba nanule na suido na kamana nan tam ben sha kam yala kan nule nanule ka brain machine man de change machine wa karin fi erma akwa mpon now so so dab so ne jiang inshallah nchel bat karna bien ni suran duman naun char ba di da bayin sa inshallah demi yeni inya ma yim believe na yin
ni darama su song
so kam su song mo inshallah nawne nawde la ci amarani nawde ci anyel kan ko repierani
Dozo ka blan boarle.
no den ci amblan boarle this time mpa boara hasu
amin bunda don bagaratu ni kacha
bagarantu ni kacha ma bat bagarza bagarza because babjer bat inshallah yang ma bam laban kakpalan livre life kacha ba donin pier mala yela man
tuma pulo kan ye bagaratu ni kacha tuma pulo ma min bunda
tuma pulo na bagarantu ni bargula dita bitba lo se pulo ba boar la shi so inshallah ku ba su inshallah duma nan den ci ant comment kan ko le te pierani
Barna Bokarat ma fa Barna Bokara kutta za gona kan nan ko ni kan Barna ndo zanto
barna ya kama insha kama dira inda ita tekale insha na shi da mala wish ngono na prouder ma asu ku dama praku su yosma bi kama ndi kana yula ndirma ai kai kwashin ba yuya lumbono
kama ka ku ni ka to ku ba bo lan
kan ku yuno kan to ku ka bo nan to ku za kan to ku ba ku karnya lawo inda ba na ku ma kan ya laban ma ya first ma ke na ba ten gari abala su man shan har gutan na yi masu da na wannan tamana min shakan yiran ba ko bana ku wannan na ku da ban shakan min kan kana ko na niyan oh numa la ba shelterba mala la ba terba inshallah na wangi mbara pune zipsum na ka ba jama baba mimi barami bana ku sa an kira pune barana kira pune aba miram jane shiri kira pune ka ta ban yes yala jana tune ndmal nawo nir kamun zirle nawo yi mora pune
kan la wuce
mun na bace ndumai na man da ko ta ci gbala ba masa jira sa apa
I remain grateful to you for staying with me on my Northern Achiever. I am Abdul-Jalil, the son of Musa Kumo. Today I am with Na Alhaji Dr. Alhassan Andani, the MD of Stanbic Bank and also the President of Ghana Association of Bankers. And interesting, intriguing conversation that we're having. If you've not learned anything from Alhaji right up to now, I don't think you would ever learn anything from any other person. Now, let's talk about the Stanbic Bank journey. Now, what happened? Is it that you just woke up one day and you were like, no, there should be Stanbic Bank in Ghana?
No. So I was actually in Johannesburg. I was working for Barclays Bank in Johannesburg, and I think that was in either late February. I got a call from somebody in Standard Bank.
That you didn't know?
That I didn't know. They said that, oh, are you Andani Alhassan? I said, yes. Oh, we had a reference from a man called Mr. Marcos Andrade. So Marcos Andrade was the director for corporate banking for Standard Bank, for Barclays Africa. Okay. And I worked under Marcos. So Marcos had gone to Standard Bank as an advisor. So they were looking for talented African bankers to grow their franchise in the rest of the continent, because Standard Bank is very large in South Africa. So they were looking for talent to try and help them grow their business on the African continent. So Marcos said, I worked with this person in Barclays. Give me a call and see whether he would like to have a conversation. So that's how I got called for coffee. So I went across to Standard Bank to meet the then Chief Executive for Standard Bank Africa, and Mr. Greg Brackenridge, and he started to ask me about myself and what I was doing for Barclays then in South Africa, and at that time Barclays had just acquired ABSA, so we were trying to settle down Barclays ABSA, and we had moved to a new office in a department called ABSA Capital, and that's where I was. So we had a conversation, and they said they wanted me to consider an opportunity with them. So that's how I got into Standard Bank.
Wow.
So I was actually employed in South Africa.
Like, sometimes when I meet people like this and they talk to me, I just get simply inspired. Whatever it is that you are doing, and if you are lazy and you think you are just being smart, you are doing yourself. So Absolutely. They will say, yes. Because Absolutely. He received a call because he had worked under someone who saw how hardworking he is, and today he's the MD of Stanbic Bank. Wherever you are, whatever it is that you are doing, your hard work is always going to pay. But let's come to now and talk about why the name Stanbic and not Standard.
So that's very interesting, and it's a good question you asked about why Stanbic and not Standard Bank. And that takes you back to the question you asked earlier: what's the difference between Standard Chartered and Standard Bank? So once upon a time, Standard Bank was Standard Bank. Yeah. And so Standard Bank in South Africa, Standard Bank in London, okay. And then as these common shareholders, and as they started to grow, Standard Bank London make acquisitions of banks in Asia, and Standard Bank South Africa made acquisitions of banks in Africa, out and some parts of some ANZ Greenleys was a big Australian New Zealand bank, which was selling off their assets in Africa. So Standard Bank South Africa acquired it, and Standard Bank London acquired some banks in Asia, and so the Standard Bank in South Africa became Standard Bank, and the one in London became Standard Chartered. They had common shareholding and even common assets. I think the real split between Standard Bank and Standard Chartered was probably mid-90s, probably 95, 96, when it actually was completely separated. Now, on the separation, the use of the name Standard became a bit contentious. So Standard Chartered said, okay, wherever there was Standard Chartered, Standard Bank could not use the name Standard. So they then had Stanbic, which stands for Standard Bank Investment Corporation. So that's where Stanbic comes from. Wow. But where there is no Standard Chartered, we use the name Standard Bank. Wow. So in South Africa, you use the name Standard Bank. In a few of the African countries where we operate without Standard Chartered, we use the name Standard Bank. But in the countries where we operate with Standard Charter, we use the name Stanbic Bank.
And you said the Stanbic stands for?
Standard Bank Investment Corporation.
Okay, all right. Standard I think this is revealing. This is a great, education that we are getting from Doctor. And I am usually impressed with the way you took the bank. From nowhere, you came with Stanbic Bank, and today it is one of the most, what if not the best, but one of the best in the country. Yeah. How did you do it?
No, so the secret about Standard Bank itself, Stanbic had been in Ghana since 1999. Okay. It came in, I think, 1999, and bought into a small license. And Standard Bank itself had actually been in Ghana as a 30% shareholder of Merchant Bank, and could not acquire Merchant Bank, so they sold their 30% and bought a license in 1999. So yes, the groundwork, just trying to establish the fundamentals of a bank, was done between 1999 and 2006 when I came in. Yes, we had most people didn't know about Standard Bank because we had a branch in Accra, a branch in Kumasi, and an agency in the Tema Harbour, Fishing Harbour. So that's all we had. But essentially, the groundwork had been laid. So my duty was to take that foundation and build on it. And so from 2006, from the humble beginnings of 3 branches, but a solid banking foundation laid. I must give credit to my predecessors, Stanley, Bill Thomas, and Jim Maben, who came in as MDs before me, laid that kind of solid foundation. And then I took it from there. And once the foundation is solid, then you can actually build on it. So it was, and again, you had a group, you had Standard Bank group that was really hungry for growth in Africa. Ghana was seen to be one of the fast-growing sub-Saharan African countries, and they had a capital. So that's one advantage. The other advantage was, I had operated in this country, SSB, Barclays, so I knew this market pretty well. I knew this market pretty well. So, you had a shareholder who was ready to go, and you had market knowledge. So the two of it together was easy to cut through. And I must say that that's really been the impetus. And most importantly, to the shareholders continuing to provide you the financing. Yeah. So even though we've performed extremely well and made a lot of money, the shareholders didn't pay themselves dividends. They gave us the money to continue to reinvest. So that's why you see Standard Bank all over. And most importantly, we tried the very best we could to attract the very best people. So again, the thing that works very, very well for Standard Bank, for myself, is the team that we've built. We have a very high-performing team. My leaders are fabulous, and I'm proud to say most of them are Africa talents.
Before I went for my second commercial break, I was talking about me calling you my governor of the Bank of Ghana. Yeah. Late in about 2015, 2016, thereabout, the position for Bank of Governor was up for grabs. And a lot of people thought you were the best in contention for such a position because of your level of understanding of the economy and, banking. Were you really in contention for the position?
No, this is not a job that you apply for. So it was not open for you to make an application.
But were you being sought for?
Look here, it's history now, and I continue to enjoy the job I'm doing. And I'm president of the Association of Bankers. I've always had a fabulous relationship with the people at the Bank of Ghana.
But would you accept?
It's always humbling.
Would you accept a position as the governor of the Bank of Ghana if you are approached to?
Look, this is the job I've done all my life, and if there's really an opportunity to make a difference, why not? But it's not a job, as I said.
Did you feel any bitterness that you weren't looked at?
No. As I said, they didn't advertise the job. They didn't receive any applications. Yeah. So really, it's about everybody having an opinion who they think is the best person for the job. But yeah, no bitterness.
Hopefully it went to a brother and a son. And so I think it's
and I've supported all of them.
Yes. There's been a lot of questions on social media. But before then, my executive producer wants me to ask you about that you usually are someone who would want to see, you are somebody who helps a lot. Everybody knows about that. You are a philanthropist. And you want usually to see someone trying to do something and the person is doing it. It's a work in progress that you push up so that at least it can grow. Why that mentality, and why not people who doesn't, maybe I've just come with an idea, then you push me?
Look, ideas, and first of all, development must be owned. For people to develop, you own that, your own idea. You are prepared to put your skin to the game. So when you get the push, it actually accelerates you. Wow. So as for ideas, a lot of people can come and talk really good talk. Who is prepared to put himself in harm's way, to actually step away to try to implement your idea, is putting yourself in harm's way. Wow. You don't know whether to succeed or not. So if you're prepared to take your own risk, and anything I can do, I would help you. Wow. So the person who has just ideas bubbling, and the person who's actually put ideas into practice and prepared to put his or her skin on the way, I would go for that.
There's this question from a loyal fan, Yumza Idi, on Facebook, and he says they've been waiting eagerly for this particular interview, and so. But the question he has, I don't know as whether he's a he or a she, Yumza, is that what does it take to be financially disciplined?
It's It's a lot of common sense. Never spend what you haven't earned. Don't overspend what you have earned. It's a very simple formula. And I say that finance is so simple. If anybody explains finance to you more than 5 minutes, no matter how complicated, more than 5 minutes, if you don't understand it, it's fraudulent.
Wow.
Yes. The most complicated financial transaction, the concept of it should be so simple that you should be able to explain it to somebody in 5 minutes, the person will understand.
Wow.
If you take more than 5 minutes, it's fraudulent. And the route to financial security is just ensure that if you are earning 100 cedis, you are not spending 110 cedis. It's as simple as that. If you haven't earned 100 cedis, do not spend 100 cedis. The best of it is to say, whatever I get today,
something must be put aside.
Something must be put aside. No matter, and sometimes we think that it's somebody who is earning 1,000 cedis, even somebody who's earning 1,000,000 cedis. Probably has just elevated his spending to 1,000,000.1. And you might think that but he doesn't have 1,000,000 cedis, and it's a pauper. And somebody who is spending, earning 100 cedis, and knowing that, look, I have to set 20 cedis for the rainy day, and before he realizes, when he doesn't have it, he probably has saved 5-6 years of his income, so he can live on it. So, we should all walk away from what people often say, you're as poor as your last paycheck. So for some people, the last paycheck doesn't come, and he's in trouble. That is financial management disaster.
Now, Fisher Ibrahima Abdul-Jalil has a question, and he says that has Africa and particularly Ghana have what it takes to come out of poverty?
More than what it takes. More than what it takes. I think what's holding us back is simply greed, bad leaders. What is holding us back is greed and bad leaders. We have much, much more than what it takes to get out of poverty. Listening, all the world, whether it's America, US, all of them take their natural resources, the mineral resources from here, from Africa, oil, minerals, everything, they take it out of Africa. Yeah. There are lots of countries who haven't got a third of the kind of resources Africa has. So what's keeping us behind is just bad leadership, greed, and we don't understand. We don't understand that wealth is in the collective. Wealth is not in the singular. Wealth is in the collective. But unfortunately, most of us are oriented to think that wealth is in the singular. Wealth is in the collective. So you come to East Legon and you think that, this is a wealthy neighborhood. It's not this house. It's every other house you've seen. That makes it a wealthy neighborhood. Okay, so wealth is not in the singular. It's in the collective. And our leaders should understand that. So amassing it for yourself alone, you're just living in a village.
This doctor, I don't know where it's coming from.
I honestly don't know where it's coming from myself.
I believe you have to go for a PhD. It's not too late. Because you have done so much for yourself. You've done so well in the sector to an extent that we even forget that you are not a doctor. Wow. But then let's take your final words to everybody watching right about now. What do you have to tell the whole world, especially Ghanaian youth?
I'd like to say to the Ghanaian youth, especially during this, number one, during electioneering, we've done well as a country. We have a lot of international respect in the sense that we have been able, through our national evolution, to gain respectability of being able to choose our leaders during election, whether it's parliamentarian or president, very peacefully. We're actually a beacon in Africa. We're an example in Africa. So even as we go into another election, I would want to employ the youth and all the people politicking that we should do our damnedest to maintain that proud record that we've built for ourselves. It is really a stellar achievement when you travel out and you're a Ghanaian. We have that kind of respect. So we should continue to make sure that it's about development, it's about choice, and it's about the ability to change anytime you want to change through an agreed process. The other thing I like to say is COVID or this coronavirus has revealed structural weaknesses in the world, the way the world economy is structured, the way our own economy is structured. And to say to the Ghanaian youth, the time is now to take the destiny of this country into their own hands and recalibrate it in a manner that we are in control of what we eat, what we wear, what we do, ICT, everything. I mean, what you guys are doing, it's fabulous. And we should be proud of that and put our own best foot forward in literally every sector. So we shouldn't sit down and be looking at any greener pastures. There's absolutely no greener pastures anywhere. I have literally been to every part of the world, and I can tell you the opportunities that exist now in Africa, that exist in Ghana, don't exist anywhere else. If you go somewhere else, you're actually going to have a misfit because they've got skills that they are looking to employ. We've got opportunities, looking for people to take opportunities. So I would encourage us to rethink and to take advantage of the opportunities created by the need for us in Ghana, in Africa, to be self-sufficient in our economic endeavors and to take advantage in those areas.
Wow, this is incredible. But I don't know, would you like to say hello to anybody?
I'd like to say hello and
okay. Well, thank you so very much for always remaining loyal with me on my Northern Achiever on Sagani TV. My greatest shout outs would go to Abdul-Jalil today because he's done a lot of work to getting us Pishigulana. My gratitude also goes to Mr. Bangaham Ganiu and also Honorable Nato Amanat for their efforts, including Mr. Abubakar. They are here in Accra, and when we came, in fact, they were those who were able to just ambush, Chief for us, and we are so grateful for the honor you have done us. And for all of you watching from home, I believe that whatever it is that Chief has said, we have learned a lot from him. Let's put all of these things that he said into practice. Probably with time we will still come back to Chief and take some more admonishments from him, and maybe we'll be able to learn a lot more from him than we have done today. Until I come your way again next week, my name is Abdul-Jalil. I am a son of Musa Kumo. Keep watching Sagani TV, keep supporting my Northern Achiever, and keep being good. Bye bye for now.